If someone would have told my younger self 2.5 years ago that out of all the building games, Jurassic World Evolution 3 is going to be the one I'm the most excited about, I most definitely would have called this person crazy. There are many reasons for why I really wasn't anticipating that game as to be so exciting as it seems right now. And that has to do a lot with my personal expectation, but also with the previous two games. Now, in this video, I'm going to talk about why I think Jurassic World Evolution 3 is going to be such a great game for a vast amount of players, from the casual players to the super detailed players, but also to the original fans of the original franchise, which, to say the least, is something I absolutely did not expect. So let's begin with a bit of context before we go into the features of the game and stuff we've just learned yesterday from a new piece of content, and I'm very curious for what is coming else. Now, let's talk about the context. Hold on to your gaming chairs. We will be talking about features in no time, but first things first. Jurassic World Evolution has been a game released a couple of years ago as the second bigger installment in Frontier's lineup of new building games. For those of you who don't know, Frontier Developments, the developer behind Jurassic World Evolution 1 and 2, is also the developer behind Planet Coaster, Planet Zoo, and Planet Coaster 2, which is the latest installment in that kind of creative builder game franchise, as they call it. And the fun bit is that Jurassic World Evolution has a very okay reception, I assume, but that goes down to the fact it was the first installment in that genre for many years after Jurassic Park Operation Genesis, maybe that wasn't the latest, but maybe the most well-known in that genre, and people have been, well, thankful for almost everything they got. And for me, that's very important too. It is definitely the one game that has the influence of an IP behind this, while Planet Zoo and Planet Coaster are fully created in-house with all the creative freedom you can offer. But they have, obviously, the IP of Universal behind there, which definitely have a say in that. So, and Jurassic World Evolution 1 was a game I played quite for some hours. It's not like that I played too much of it, but it was a good game. It was a beautiful game. They first of all brought weather into their games and developed their engine further. One has to say that there is the own an in-house engine, the Cobra engine feeding in, so it's not a game built on Unreal or so, unlike many other games these days, you know. And this game was okay, as I said. And then Jurassic World Evolution 2 followed up to be in line with the movies that have been released in that time. Now, the second game, nowadays, I would call a very, very good game. It's still pretty limited, but for what it is a good game by now. But it took the company and the developer for quite a while to be at this point. It took quite a while until the game was even matching the first installment, that also received a lot of updates over time. And this is where I'm stopping right now, because these two games were, for what they were, pretty decent, but they have a very clear limitation in comparison to the Planet games. And that's where I wasn't really excited, because in no reality I expected them to go more into the route of the Planet games, simply for Universal's influence, and simply for the influence of maybe the latest movie that has just been released into cinemas a couple of hours, I was going to say, but like the last days have been the various premieres of the movie. I haven't looked into that, I haven't seen the movie yet, I will be doing very soon, but as I want to keep that video free of it, I really assume that the game will follow this path closely. So, a couple of weeks ago, I was invited to an exclusive creator event. I also made some videos about that a couple of days ago, and I was going into that event maybe the least excited ever for a Frontier event. I gladly took it because, you know, I've played these games a lot, and so we had the first view. And it is absolutely shocking that they went into that direction. They brought in so many tools of the Planet games, and that is something I haven't expected, because I thought they're gonna lean in. Okay, but now that for the context, this is why I really wasn't excited and why I thought the path was already painted in which they're gonna go, and also because they said in an interview a couple of months ago that they won't be changing too much about the Jurassic kind of method they have established in Jurassic World Evolution. And, well, you know, they did. They did, frankly, change a lot more than they did for the Planet games, and seemingly they seem to pull it off, which is great. But I think this is exactly the right move, and this game is opening up to such a bigger audience now, and combines still the strengths of the first two iterations by also putting the strengths of the Planet franchise in, making it maybe the most complete and great builder game that Frontier has ever created. And let's talk about why I think so. Okay, let's begin with the strengths of the first two Jurassic World Evolution games, because that's something people mostly overlook. These games were Frontier's first approach of having a multi-platform game. Jurassic World Evolution 1 was released initially on console and on PC alike, and it actually pulled that off pretty well when it comes to just how the game was playable. It had some advantages to be played on computer if you used mouse and keyboard, but it was also intuitive enough on a console to really get used to, that kind of building game, which is not the typical kind of console experience you have, but they did a great job on that. The game was also relatively easy and intuitive when it came to park building, and many people even said it might have been a bit too easy, but it also brought in some good management decisions, and yet I don't think it's a great management game. It was fun enough to play through the different scenarios and offered a lot more fun, at least in my opinion, compared to the Planet games, and it was a bit more exciting also thanks to the narration of the original characters and the original cast, and especially Jeff Goldblum as one of the lead characters. And they also established some cool characters along the franchise, which is cool, like Cabot Fitch, for example. But that aside, this game also offered a lot of cool tools, easy tools that could be used on console as well, and offered a lot to love. At the same time, the Planet games actually fail a little bit on specific, I would call it the accessibility. Jurassic World Evolution 1 and 2 are very accessible for people to play the game. You can very quickly start creating parks, and I like to quote Evolution Square here. I love her channel. She's doing a great job in that kind of Jurassic environment over here, and she did the most out of these relatively basic tools, and she let herself play a lot with the imagination behind, but she also said that to have more tools, and why she hesitated to use mods, that also means you spend a lot more time until you get an area right, which is exactly the strength of the Planet games. Planet games do let you build a parking lot for 2 weeks if you want to, and you're still not sufficiently satisfied with the result because you have endless possibilities to make every single street marking completely perfect if you'd like. But at the same time, you don't really have the chance to really quickly click together a theme park and make it look good. This is where now the match is gonna happen. So we are looking maybe at the most interesting hybrid Jurassic World Evolution has ever created. I would call it the Casualtysaurus of the creative period. Now, that is a little joke aside, but that's exactly what I think it's gonna be. This game now opens up to build a way more realistic and way more believable theme park with Jurassic animals and creatures. It opens up also to bring in more different type of animals that potentially previously wouldn't have fit into the IP-based idea of Jurassic World. Because at the end of the day, and I forgot to mention that in the context, but there is a specific reason why this brand is called Jurassic World Evolution and not Jurassic Park Evolution, because they lean into the more modern approach of the Jurassic World franchise. However, and this is funnily enough also part of the hybrid here, is that they also go back more to the Jurassic Park idea, because now having all these tools, they already confirmed to have the original Jurassic Park theme in. For those of you who don't know, Jurassic World obviously has a way more modern, and the old Jurassic Park, I mean, you guys know it. And the idea of themes now is completely new to this game, because in the last games, we didn't have really themes. They had more likely the, how do they call that? It's more likely that you had the organization behind defined the theme. You had a theme for Biosyn, you had a theme for Jurassic Park, Jurassic World, and you had a theme for Malta, which kind of is not Biosyn in its own. It was a mixture. It was a weird mixture between organizations and themes, but now they cleaned that up and called it themes. We do know there is an Asian theme going on. We do know there is a kind of Mediterranean theme going on and a classic theme, but also the classic Jurassic Park theme. And the fact that they emphasize that so much gives me also the belief that they will lean more into the original idea of building a prehistoric theme park, and I think this is what everyone wants, and it comes in very, very surprising, and this is maybe the most positive surprise, in a time where supposedly the movie and the story goes away from that original idea of a theme park. They go to a research facility for the original theme park. But the idea of seeing a fully functioning theme park is kind of gone out of the franchise a little bit. Jurassic World, the first movie, which is the 4th overall movie, is the latest or the last one that established that idea of the fully working theme park. And I personally am a person who loved the franchise, but I couldn't take too much out of the different kind of scenarios where you follow kind of a weird movie plot baked into a game that actually wants to build a park, if you know what I mean. So that always felt a little bit off to me. It's like, hey, yeah, capture these dinosaurs in an area and then do some research with them and pack them back into a truck or whatever. It's kind of like, yes, but you do that with a game that actually wants to build a park, and that is kind of weird. And now the game will offer a lot more scenarios, building different parks, different areas, because, and maybe this is the biggest potential advantage of the timeline where we are at, the dinosaurs are living in the wild. They are established in the modern world back again in, at least in the Jurassic World time period we are at right now. And so that offers the idea that many different investors could build parks, sanctuaries, wildlife reserves, whatever. And I think this will make the whole thing will make the game better, because this lets the game do what it should do, and that is building parks, from scratch, and maybe also take over areas or have a fixed environment in which you can build a sanctuary or kind of meet certain requirements for a wildlife reserve to allow you to have different types of dinosaurs in there. This, my friends, is why I think this kind of hybrid is becoming this monster of a great game. And at the same time, the way how they implemented the tool is exactly a big strength. And this is where we're going to talk about the features now. And I think this is exactly the feature we are starting with, the creative building tools. Now, I know that a lot of people coming from the Planet games who potentially favor more casual approaches, they will sit here having sweat on their forehead already and not knowing if they would love it or not. But the way I see it from all the footage we've seen so far, the way how it's integrated into the game will be very nice for both, for creative builders, but also for people who just want to plop down pre-built things. And there is one thing that the Planet games completely messed up, and that's the way how these blueprints are integrated to the game. Planet Coaster 2 is doing a bit of a better job now, but the blueprints were always a kind of thing you needed to download from Steam or whatever, and then you need to have them, but you need to research all the different themes, and if you don't have all the themes, you couldn't build them, because if one creator, for example, used one piece from the pirate theme, for example, to make a great, wallpaper on their fantasy theme, if you only had research fantasy, you wouldn't be able to plop down the whole building, because that one piece is putting it into trouble. And I do assume that this time around they don't do the same mistake as I've seen. They were just randomly building and it plopped down into the menu and you had your options to play that. And I think it's just more like you have these different themes available, and if you've got them researched and there is a log to, let's say, the original Jurassic Park, and this is put as a blueprint, you can put it down. And that makes the whole thing way more accessible. And because all the things are directly baked into the game's UI rather than onto Steam, and it's cross-platform, we can be very certain that there is going to be a big amount of assets available to you very, very quickly. And so you have even if you don't want to spend a single second building these things yourself, you will be able to plop down new stuff every day you open the game, because there will be new buildings, new fences, new walls, new decoration items for you available in the menu. And even if creators like me do a good job, specifically to certain, themes, and that will enable a lot of people out there to get really creative on a very casual way, and really within an hour click together a very great Asian themed area without you even moving a single finger to click together two pieces. So I think that is a beauty they have brought into the game, and I think you out there, you guys who've only played the Jurassic games and not the Planet games, you don't even know how powerful this is going to be and how much this is going to change your experience of a super believable theme park and, Jurassic Park that you want to actually visit. Unsurprisingly, though, you want to visit it as well because of the babies. And I'm going to keep that point over here relatively simple because that's a feature everyone wanted for so long, me included. Now we have breeding and babies with some very cool nesting mechanisms going on. And maybe the only caveat is that there is no gradual growth. It's just like going from the baby stage to the adult stage as soon as a certain time has passed, which I do think is totally fair. Yes, other games may offer that, but I personally don't think it's that big of a difference if they pull off beautiful, like, kind of baby things and animations and so on. That will be a lot more of a value, I think, personally, even though I do find the approach of Prehistoric Kingdom, for example, very, very clever and very, very insanely well pulled off. But, you know, just for that point, I'm extremely happy to have that, and also extremely happy to have the again, chance to not only have females but also males and breeding, which again, and that feeds into the same kind of hybrid idea. We do have the hybrid here, and the one thing is the original kind of movie-based idea of having only females and no breeding and engineering, but then we now have a bit more of a wildlife park zoo idea of breeding and the word I was looking for is conservation. That's what I wanted to say. But you get the point. It's also good because you've got footage of funny, cute animals in the background. It doesn't matter what I'm saying, and that just confirms the point. Let's move on to the next one, which is going to be the terraforming tools. We spoke specifically about building at the beginning, but the terraforming tools, the terrain tools in specific, they are of a great importance when it comes to building natural parks. And that would have been also one of the biggest weak points, in my opinion, of the past two games. I didn't know why they were going for them in the first place, as they do have a perfect system in the Planet games that is insanely powerful, maybe the best system I've seen in any builder game ever. It's voxel based and it's insanely easy to use and intuitive. I don't think there would have been a difference if you would have put that in Jurassic World Evolution 1. It's super usable on console too. So I've always been very confused to why they were using the old system. But now having the new system does make a lot more sense. You have so much more control, so much more tools. We can have different types of water, which is great. Deep water will also enable animals to, certain specific animals, not all of them, but selected animals will be able to swim in there. Some others may just be wading through it, but I think there will be different. So for some animals, you can even use deep water as a wonderful way to separate the different habitats. And they went even one step further. It's not only giving us the same tools as the Planet games, no, they also gave us now the ability to create waterfalls, which you can technically do in the Planet games too, but you will need to use individual VFX effects for that, and they will never look as great as they do in Jurassic World Evolution 3 now, which is gonna be absolutely insane. I can't wait to create the most wonderful Niagara Falls replica in here too. No, I'm just kidding, but there is a lot of good stuff in here to be looking forward to. I also want to quickly talk about the graphics, because they confirmed that this game is going to use global illumination, which has made its debut in the Cobra engine with Planet Coaster 2. I do know that a lot of people don't really like the look of Planet Coaster 2 because it looks too poppy and too colorful for many people, and not as realistic as Planet Zoo, and specifically Jurassic World Evolution 3 now, because it looks gorgeous. But I want to tell you that the global illumination, and I'm gonna put a quick demo in here with where you can see how the lighting works in Planet Coaster 2, is gonna make a huge difference, because it's using kind of a ray tracing idea, and it will make dark areas look really dark and nice. It will make a very nice bump light. It will make a very good look. And I think they have learned from everything they've done in Planet Coaster 2 and implemented it even better in Jurassic World Evolution World now. That is going to be so good, and so much better than the previous game, even though the previous game did look good too. But people also complained that this didn't look much better than the first one did. So here we go. Now this is a big leap forward, and I also do agree that this looks fantastic, and specifically for a park game like that, this is not really the most irrelevant point. So props to Frontier that they're pulling that off. Which leaves me with the last point I want to tackle in this video. There would be a lot more, and we will do a lot of videos about this game in the coming weeks. But for now, I want to keep it to this point, and that is the broader area of management, I want to call it, because they haven't really revealed too much. We know there will be a couple of new rides available. There will be a couple of new facilities available. There is a new way of how security kind of cameras work. I personally find this insanely good because I've been always annoyed that I needed to kind of make almost a point and click game out of it when I needed to, you know, fix certain gates and so on, and always needed to send out people manually, and that just kind of, I don't know, it was really finicky and it really wasn't that rewarding. I think it's fine if you have that at the beginning, but it's very cool to have the ability to unlock the security cameras and so on and sensors, and you can then establish a kind of self-running system in which whenever a security camera is going to see that a dinosaur is attempting to break out or even did manage to destroy the fence, they're going to send out a unit automatically to fix that, which I'm a big fan of. The only thing you have to make sure is then that you have enough units available, and also the cameras are placed in positions that are suitable for them to be able to see these things. If they do these kind of detail upgrades everywhere, I'm very positive that this will change. Again, as I said, I personally wasn't too negative about the way how the two Jurassic World Evolution games played. Yes, they have not been as challenging as they potentially could be. I personally like that, but other people may want a bigger challenge, so not sure what they're going to do with this. We do know that Frontier is maybe not known to be the most brilliant at doing these things, and so I just want to say that the other games then lacked from a, let's say, okay-ish decent management, but not great. But then again, a not so decent creative sandbox. And now you have a decent, hopefully you've got to go and have a decent to great management if they improved even further. And you've got a great creative sandbox, which is going to, you know, both worlds will feed into each other, and you can, if you don't have that much to do in the management because you're waiting for something, you're waiting for money to come in or whatever, you can then take the time to, I don't know, change your design of the park a little bit and spend more time detailing, which is a very good balancing act for gameplay if you do it right. So I'm gonna be very positive on that area, and I can't wait to hear more on that because, again, they've shown a lot of the new tools, specifically creative tools, as this may be the big selling point, specifically when it comes to making sure lagoons look good. We can now look into that. Aviaries can be fully customized and so on, but they didn't really talk about new gameplay elements that much, so I'm really waiting for that, to see that. Also how kind of, you know, babies and so on, nursing them and so on will be a thing. So that's bit of the black box we have here, but I'm staying positive. So let's draw a little conclusion and then finish with this video. You may have noticed from my video that I am extremely excited for this game on a very honest level. You could say, okay, you're just going to take and try to, you know, use the hype of the Jurassic World Evolution game and blah, blah, blah. But for those of you who know me, you know that I've already done quite a lot in Jurassic World Evolution 2 as well, and Jurassic World Evolution 1 alike. I've done a lot more in Jurassic World Evolution 2 because it was, at the end, a bit more of a creative game. Not as much as I would have hoped for, but, you know, and this is why I'm getting exciting. I'm a huge fan of the Jurassic franchise. I'm an insanely huge fan of the originals, of the original first movie specifically, but I'm also a fan of the third one, to be honest. But hey, that's a different story. And I wasn't as excited for this game. I was super excited for Planet Coaster 2, for example. So naturally, my disappointment was even emphasized by the fact that my expectations were so high. And so I was even more disappointed by that, you know, mediocre launch. Now, this game, my expectations were relatively low. I was kind of, you know, happy for a new game, maybe play a couple of hours in that, make a couple of videos, and then see how far this is gonna go. But I've never expected me to be so excited. Even to that point, I'm thinking about taking holidays for launch to be able to build a lot of things in the first days and weeks, because my mind goes crazy what you can do. The little aspect I mentioned about the Niagara Falls wasn't even meant as a joke. You could literally create the Niagara Falls and have a Spinosaurus swim in there. You can literally make that and have some, I don't know, brachios wade through there and have the people be on the viewing platform. You even, maybe we have a boat ride and you can do that, or you build a fictional boat yourself and put it in there. the possibilities now to make the story you want are endless, and to create the settings you want for your park, endless. It's really something I have not expected, and hopefully I could translate to you why I'm so excited. I waited a little bit to make this video. I waited for yesterday's newsletter to see if there's a bit more about management, to maybe include that into the video, which wasn't the case, so I thought it's the perfect timing now to put out this video. So hopefully you found it exciting, and now please let me know in the comments, what is your expectation from the game? Are you as excited as I am? Are you as surprised as I am from all the things they've revealed so far? What is the one single thing you want to see as well? Let me know in the comments. I'm excited. I'm here to discuss. Let me know. And if you don't want to miss out on future Jurassic World Evolution 3 things and updates and whatnot, make sure to also subscribe to the channel and be here with me. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll talk to you, as always, in the next one.